Welcome back to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain, and today we have our price analysis day again with Paul from Dfinity. And we love this day because though his background in crypto is very short, his background in price analysis is 30 years, and there just aren't many people like that with that kind of background that look at crypto. And so his ability to look into the price and tell us what it's doing has been extremely helpful to me. I've been learning since we started having him as a guest on 2 months ago. So hopefully you've been too, because part of our goal in this channel is to create the most informed audience in crypto, which, if I'm right on that, will also create the wealthiest audience in crypto over the next 5 years. So join us as we welcome Paul and get into some price analysis on what is happening right now in crypto. I mean, there's some big news overall, but we're in November and December. And November and December every 4 years tends to be the cycle when crypto pumps tremendously. So you're in a great place to be, as well as that type of pattern detection specific for these 2 months is exceptional for what Paul is great at. So let's welcome Paul from Dfinity.
Hi, it's great to be here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, so good to have you. I am really excited to have you as a guest on our show during this time where we're going to see a lot of breakouts and a lot of breakout trades. And breakout trading is a lot of fun, and we had a bunch of those in March and April. And I really got to play around with that and get better at that. There was a little bit of that last August and stuff, but we're going to see some big breakout trades coming in the next 2 months, and a lot of them. And so it's going to be wild and it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a very good point that you make, because different people have different strategies. I know that you look at the fundamentals, and even when a coin is boring or technology is boring and it's going down and people are losing faith in it, because you rely on your fundamentals, you're quite willing to buy and even add to the position. My strategy is slightly different because I don't know anything about the fundamentals. I'm just waiting for a pickup in price action to say that it's actually safe to go back into the water. And then there are certain times when the market's really exciting and everything seems to come at once and everything seems to be moving at once. So, you know, it's a really interesting market as we speak. And it's also a really important point that there will be times in the future when things go a bit quiet again and there's not much to see week to week. It's really important to know that things go boring again for a period, but you have to wait it out to see times like these and see the difference between a quiet market and one where things are really taking off. And you can't afford to be away, you can't afford to be on holiday. You've got to stay, you know, close to your screen, close to the price action, otherwise you're going to miss some important breakouts. So things do go in phases, and we will be here all the time one way or the other, but it's just to say there are different phases and to recognize them.
Yeah, exactly. And we appreciate you joining us. I want to start with this week looking at one that we've been tracking. This was a breakout trade that you traded on.
Yeah.
That one of our viewers brought to us, and we pulled it up, and you love the charts. I looked at the charts. I was like, holy cow, it's having a breakout. So that we can show them what breakout trades look like.
Yeah.
And so let's pull up XPR Proton.
Yeah. So Proton. So Proton was one that I was alerted to by one of our viewers, which was great. And we got the breakout about here. So there was a little triangular constriction. That was the compression. I don't show that just to show that we got in it early, because, you know, I don't want to, you know, I don't think it helps to say that that's where we bought it if you're looking at it right now. The question is, was it still a buy, and would it continue to be a buy? And what we thought would happen is it would break this high, this is a clear breakout of prior resistance. So anything that breaks prior resistance, especially if it does it fast, is a really good sign. Now the market went up, came back down in quite a big correction. We were talking about the 0.05 level as being an area to sell, just for short term, just to take some profits, just to sort of get rid of, you know, your initial capital, so that everything you're playing with from now on is you know, basically can't hurt you. If it goes to zero, you haven't lost anything, but if it keeps going up, you know, you could potentially make quite a lot of money. So now we've had to sit out this corrective phase. Now this is an interesting corrective phase, because this is exactly what we would want it to do, which is just slowly pull back and then break out again into a new potential bigger upward trend. Now, where is the big resistance that this needs to break? Of course, it's at 0.05, which is where it stopped last time. So as close as it gets to that level, the more excited, to use perhaps we shouldn't use the word excited when it comes to trading, but it can be, more excited we will be for a breakout. So this is like, if we look at waves, and there's something called Elliott wave, which is quite a complicated thing to talk about, and I'm not going to go into it, but you look at impulsive waves, corrective waves, and then new impulsive waves. This has come back in what's called a 3, 1, 2, 3, which is usually a corrective wave. And that means that the next wave could be as big as this one. So that means we should be taking out 0.05, possibly as high as 0.09 and beyond. So this is a very interesting chart. If you also just look at graphically how the lows have been curving up, that was what caught my eye, and symmetry as well. See the way it went down, flat, and then up. We get perfect symmetry. If you look at the 29th of July, and there's symmetry from one side to the other. Now, of course, it's slightly lopsided because the market's broken into a new high, which is fine. That just means we're in a new phase. Obviously, we can't guarantee that it's going to go up, but from what we're seeing from this chart, it's looking good. So thank you again for the recommendation, not the recommendation, but for asking for us to look at it in the first place from the community. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. This is a great one for us to look at. What I like about it, and so the reason I want to pull this up is we're going to be talking about trading these types of trades, and we're going to see a lot more where the patterns are closer to this initial breakout or even this second one. There's going to be a lot going through this, and what happens is things break out in waves in this momentum period because some things trade up and go way high, and then people are looking for the next breakout, and so they push more breakouts to happen. And so we saw this happen in 2017. We saw this happen a little bit a year ago. We also saw this happen, in fact, a year and a half ago, DeFi summer of last year. We also saw it happen this March and everything. And so XPR just gives us a perfect breakout and then a retracement, then another breakout. This is why I don't chase green candles. I look for pullbacks and then I make entries. And you don't know if it's going to pull back a little bit farther sometimes. So at this point, I make entries and then I try to take the next ride. Now, there's plenty that haven't broken out that we're looking for this first breakout pattern to trade. And many of them will follow this. But look at this nice rounded bottom like this. And you'll see in the charts, tons are at this nice rounded bottom. They've had a little bit of growth here, a little bit of takeoff, and then you're looking for that breakout. And so I love that we're in a place, for some reason, it's not allowing them to see. Let me see if I can fix it.
Oh, is that my screen?
Well, they're not quite seeing the price on your screen, and that would be my fault because...
Okay.
Let me just condense it. There we go. There, they can see it now.
Right, so that
apologize for that.
That's the 0.05 level across here, and it pulled back to the previous peak, which was 0.03. So it should really have held that, but it didn't matter that it went a little bit below because everything was in a corrective phase. Yeah. And also, we're seeing a rotation from the majors into the altcoins. And so the majors lead, then they lag a little bit. And another point to make is that when you start to look at these markets, some of these I'm seeing for the very first time, but when you start to watch them week to week, you get to know the personality of the market, is the way I phrase it, where you get to know how it likes to trade and how it interacts with the major coins. Like, will it follow it? Will it wait a bit and then go? And we're going to see some that are in a consolidation that haven't gone yet, but will. Like Cardano was one we talked about last week, where it hadn't gone and it should go, and it has gone now. So the technical pattern was ready to go, but it was just looking like it was stuck. But eventually, if the pattern's right, it will move. So not 100%, but
Funny enough, on Cardano, I had just done a video and just released a video on how Cardano's price action looked attractive.
Hey,
it looked boring, which is when I buy. And then like the next day it takes off, and I was like,
it was
okay,
you.
Well,
it was you that did it.
Yeah. Thank you to the audience for buying it cheap, and then you told the bots through your buying that it was ready to run, and then all the bots FOMO'd in and drove the price up a little bit more and gave it a nice breakout. So for those of you who have been tired of waiting on Cardano. It showed a nice breakout pattern. In fact, we can pull that up real quick. Today we've got to cut our time a little bit short.
Okay, no problem.
I mean, we have a total of 45 minutes from when we started, so we've got plenty of time there. But let's look at their little breakout they did, right? Oh, they're back down.
Back down, yeah. Actually, that's interesting. Yeah, that's. I saw that pop up on the on the breakouts. Yeah. So
yeah, broke back down into the pattern.
Yeah, so it's gone up and then back down again. I mean, look, I still think it will move back up. That is interesting that it went straight up and came off. You know, it was in a triangle, and this was the point where it should really have broken up. It has gone down and it's gone sideways here. I thought this was going to be the start of the new trend. I'd still be willing to give it a bit more time because it's sitting very close to extremely good support. I guess we're just going to have to be a bit more patient. But yeah, that's it's still lagging. This one is still lagging. So sometimes it just takes a while for the market to wake up to the ones that haven't moved yet. This is definitely at the back of the pack, and it needs to move forward. But I think it will.
Yeah, it's not fully reflecting the price. It did go all the way up to like 230, so it broke out higher than it's showing here.
Right.
And and then it's corrected back down, and that's okay. I didn't expect after I did that video that like it shouldn't have pumped the next day. I don't know what caused it to. Something did. Yeah. But it wasn't ready. Like normally it takes a little bit more trading sideways, which is when I just dollar cost average into something. Now, personally, I have a lot of Cardano. If I didn't, I would be dollar cost averaging into it at this price. This is what I do. See how it's gone way up? It's retraced, it's trading sideways, it's near the end of its retracing sideways. Likely from here, especially with the coming few months when everything's going to be breaking up, this is the kind of trade I like. So let's take a look at some of these ones that have been doing awesome. Let's take a look at Freeway Token, which they released 2 billion tokens to the ecosystem, which doubles the amount of supply. Now, the project said we're going to sit on these tokens. We're not going to put them in circulation. There's some things that we need to use with in our ecosystem. But in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, but come on, they'll probably sell off like 5% or 10% of them. Well, apparently, I can't see any evidence that they sold off any of them because I was hoping it would come down for a little bit cheaper buy. But this is a textbook W pattern.
Yeah.
With a breakup.
Yeah. So what you have here is, I think we discussed this one where it was in the middle of the range. We were waiting for the breakout.
Yeah.
But the lows have been rising. So you see, as it started to break out here, you get this curve. And that shows that the market is accelerating. That's why you can't turn your back on these things, because a couple of days price action can really change the way it looks. So it broke short-term resistance at 0.0108. Then it was heading towards the last key resistance, or the closest key resistance, which is what's capped the market, which was at 0.0129. So once it's taken that out, and look at how it's taken it out. It's not just gone through. It's opened at the low, closed right at the high on good volume. So that means this really, it really has got the power to move all the way up to this point here, and perhaps even to a new high. So this looks like the start of something new. Now, again, caveat, we don't know for sure. It might come back down and fail, and that's all possible. But in terms of probability, yeah, some people are hoping so because they want.
I hope so. I want a lot more of this. A lot more. I only have like 3.5 million tokens. I want like quadruple that.
Right. Okay. Well, I want some. I haven't got any, but but yeah, I mean, the trouble is also when I end up looking at so many things, I think I want to buy them all, and it's like I can't. I mean, you might be able to, but at the moment, this is looking good technically. This is exactly what we would have wanted to happen. I think we even discussed that we would like it to go to this previous resistance and break it out. So we can't have asked for more in terms of how it's trading now. If this goes, will probably just wick up again. Like maybe even by the time you've seen it, if it's tomorrow or a few days' time, this may well wick up a couple of days. We're looking at how well it's closing on the day. to make sure that there's still buying power. I mean, of course, there will be some form of retracement, but that does look like the start of something. So, great call by you. Because you were calling it up, even though it was quite balanced. But actually,
I love the fundamentals for. So if you're watching this show, this is one of the ones that I think can go 100x. Now, it was a lot more likely to go 100x when it was 0.6 cents. Now, could it still go 100x from here? It could. Their platform is what I'm really interested in, because at a certain point you can take your stable coins and you can invest them in their superchargers at roughly a 3% return per month, which if you compound that, that's like 42% per year. So this is part of my diversification strategy when I pull out and I'm holding in stables and I'm trying to get good returns. I'm never going to throw all of that into one platform. I'm going to throw a lot of it into this platform because nothing pays higher returns than that with this kind of backing. Now, they are regulated out of the UK and the European Union as well as the US. How strongly regulated? Kind of. They did buy a brokerage in the EU and have partnered with them and renamed it Aubit. I do have some links to their platform down below. I'm not holding my stables on there yet because I'm not high-end stables yet. As I'm taking profits, I will be. But you need to hold 20% of your portfolio value that you have on their platform in these in order to be able to put that portfolio into their superchargers. So the reason I've been loading up on these tokens is because I think as people put money into their superchargers, and they don't just have a stablecoin supercharger, they have a Cardano supercharger that gets you like 1.7% a month or something. It averages out to about 20% a year in Cardano value. So if I were going to hold Cardano for a year from here, then I would actually have my money in that Cardano supercharger rather than Cardano. However, I'll be taking profits as Cardano goes crazy in a couple of months. So there's no point for me to go in and out very quickly there. So I'm waiting till it makes sense to throw some money in the stable coins, at least for like a couple of years while things come down. And then I'll probably throw them into their like Cardano and other superchargers so that I can get really good returns on things that I think are going to appreciate. So I like what they're trying to do with this platform. I hope they nail it. There's always a risk when you're putting faith behind a project, right? That who knows, people fail. Sometimes there's a corrupt financial person who gets the private keys that runs off with them. I don't know if that could even happen in this case. They have introduced just recently some news about some ways that people can, for lower returns, be even more secure. That's really big news that is really cool that they're doing. But this has been one of my big altcoin picks because I feel like their use case for the token is so strong. All right, let's jump over and want to look at one called Constellation. DAG, I think, is their token. I haven't thought about them in a long time.
Yeah, I remember the name. Right. So this is an interesting chart here because we've had the big trend, lovely triangle breakout here. Lovely smooth upward trend, which reversed on nothing really. There wasn't enough of a reversal pattern to suggest that this should have collapsed as much as it did. So I'd be interested to know what caused this. But it's come back in, I think, a nice three wave. It's what 1, 2, 3, which suggests a correction rather than a new downward trend. So I'm thinking that this is building up for another move higher. We've got a good base here, and we can draw in a trend line across the lows, which will support it. So as long as this line is in effect, we can be biased to the bull side. So we can say that it's in a rising trend. Now, we would like this resistance here to be taken out properly. It's 0.28, which would be resistance. Good. And there's lots of resistance around here as well, which is the selling pressure that it's kind of encountered. So the middle of that is where it's reversed twice, but it looks like it's coming back for another go. So this trend rate may be ready to accelerate. We could draw a new trend line, perhaps not yet, but next week or two, I'll be looking at this to see whether we could draw a new trend line that will be taking us up towards this 0.35 level, which is the next big resistance level. And if it gets through there, then we're going for the all-time highs, which is around 0.45. Now, there's no reason why it shouldn't do that, but there's a couple of tripwires and steps before we get there. But at the moment, this is encouraging. It was in a range, it was consolidating, but now it seems to have kind of woken up and things are moving.
Yeah, might be ready to run. And a lot of this time, like we make these guesses, what I do, this is why I don't trade leverage. So if I was going to pick it up now at 25.5 cents, what I would do is I would just hold it. I wouldn't leverage trade this because there's every chance in the world it comes back to that blue line. Now, slight chance that it breaks below it. Most of the momentum is going to be upwards for most of the projects across this space. So it's like if I were investing in this price is not a bad price. I would put some in with some reserves on the side if I were trading this. This isn't financial advice. None of this is. This is just, I'm an investor, Paul's an investor. This is how we think about things.
Yeah.
What specifics you choose is up to you. But say I was choosing to go in 25.5 cents. Personally, the way I'd be trading this, I'd put some in. I would wait and I would pray it comes back down to 21 cents or something, and then I would load up a bunch more. Then if it broke through, I'd have some on the side so I could buy it even cheaper, because my guess is overall most of the momentum will be going forward. Short of some very, very bad news for this specific project, it should go up from here and it should continue to run. But this is exactly why we don't chase green candles. We like to buy when things are boring and cheap. And look, see, you could have bought when it was very boring at 5 cents. It then went all the way, in fact, that's about 4.5 cents. It then went to 45 cents, so it went about 10x. But we don't chase those green candles, and then there's this nice healthy pullback. So you're able to buy it now at 25 cents, which is almost like 40 something percent off from the previous highs that if you had chased into them, you would have then suffered that retracement. But now you can buy cheaper, and you have longer to wait till it's likely to run again. All right. Yeah, fantastic pick by one of our audience members. Want to look at Lossless. This is such an interesting project, and their goal is to make it so, I covered them quite a while ago. It's been a little while since I thought about them.
What's the code?
LSS.
Oh, yeah.
The first DeFi hack mitigation tool for token creators. Our code detects fraud, freezes, and reverses stolen funds.
Really?
I'd be interested
How do they do that?
I have no idea. It is the technical knowledge on that is beyond me.
Okay. I'd have to get my head around that. That sounds amazing, but it also sounds impossible at the same time. So, yeah. But I guess that's not what we're being asked to judge. It's the price action, which is looking very interesting because we've got this breakout impulse move. This is looking corrective. Now this level here at 0.128, if it breaks below that, that's not a great sign, because this could end up being a topping pattern, because it is volatile enough to be a topping pattern. We like to see continuation patterns, and a continuation pattern is a pause before the market goes up again. We like to see them compressed if possible, and so lower volatility, because they're usually just pauses before the market moves upwards once again. And if it gets too volatile, then people will get shaken out and they'll move to something else that's smoother. But for the moment, we've got these rising lows, which is good. So we got a rising low at 0.128 and then slightly higher at 0.130. Now, if it can peg in a low around here and then turn up and then push towards this 1.80, which seems to be a bit sticky up there. If it can take that out, then I would like that. Then I think we would be moving. The evidence we're looking for is it moving into a new impulse trend, a bit like this? And it would need to take out some of the kind of near consolidation resistance for us to get that as a confirmation. So I personally I don't mind chasing a green candle on a chart. If I think this is going to go to 3, I don't mind buying it at 1.85. The problem for me is if it breaks sort of 1.27, I don't know whether it's going to come all the way down to 0.6, which it might, and then it might go back up. But that means I've got to stick it in the bottom drawer, and then I won't be able to use that capital on something else that might be looking interesting. So it's all a game of psychology, really, and it's what you find works for your strategy. If you're happy to sit with it and you really like it, then I don't think there's a problem with that. But if you're looking to jump in and out and be more active, which is kind of how I'm looking at it, because we're looking at these markets week to week, then I'm looking for a quicker return, a quicker move, especially when everything else is moving. I like to see things move relatively quickly. Otherwise, it starts to be a bit of a concern as to why it hasn't moved with the rest of the pack.
Now, I loaded up on some of this during the boring time. See that nice boring pattern?
Down
And
here?
so, yep, I'm just
Oh,
holding
wow.
on to it. So, like,
Wow.
it's like if it still comes down, I forgot I had this. I double checked and I was like, oh, yeah, because I was like, I think I loaded up on that like months ago, and I did. I just confirmed it. And so I'm like, sometimes you'll run into this problem. If you're new this cycle, this will happen more for you next cycle. So stick around this bull run, the crypto winter that follows, and especially if you take proper profits, and then you're able to buy when most of the market gets real boring, you're going to be sitting really pretty for the next market. And then you run into this problem a lot more where it's like, wow, you have like 150 different projects that you're invested into, and you have a hard time keeping track of them all. That's waiting for you if you stick around and you commit to the 5-year game plan, because that's what it takes. This isn't my first cycle. I was around last cycle. When it got cheap, I loaded up, and now you're able to, your second cycle able to diversify much better than your first cycle, because you can believe my first cycle, I had my eyes on every one of my 5 coins that I was holding. But really, if you buy during the bear market, then you're really well positioned. Like if you make some nice gains here, take profits out, buy when it gets boring, you'll be sitting so pretty by this time next cycle, because you actually have a head start over me, because I didn't know what I was doing when I was new, and no crypto YouTubers were really covering this because they didn't know how to analyze these patterns and communicate them in a way that was at least understandable by me. So I really did believe a lot of the crypto YouTubers that were saying, yes, it's going to keep going up from here. And part of me said, no, it never does. But I was like, well, maybe they're right. And so I didn't take profits, and 165,000 turned into 3,000. So that was my starting point in the crypto winter, and I had to put additional money in during that downturn. Imagine if you make, say, $80,000 in gains this cycle that you then take and put on the sidelines. And then when it gets boring, you buy and deploy that $80,000 across multiple smart projects at the bottom of the market. Then by this time next cycle, you'll be doing exceptionally well already with some more room to run. All right, let's take a look at Polkacity, POLC. And I've heard this one talked about a lot. It's a metaverse. What I like about this one is it came out last March and was tradable, actually last February. So it had a run with the March run, and then it came back down. And then it's been running like crazy again and had a big pullback. I mean, Facebook's, what's his name, Zuckerberg, came out and talked about Meta. And so everything with Metaverse, like, ran up like crazy and stuff. And
I don't think it's over, really. Clearly, I don't think it's gone, well, it's so far away from mainstream that this must have a lot to go. Is my view. And generally speaking about cryptocurrencies, I haven't had anyone in my family ask me about it. And I think a lot of the sentiment is that with Bitcoin making a new high, just generally speaking, I think people think it's about to all turn and it's just a short-term thing to ignore. So I use certain sort of trigger markers as to whether things have got too high. And it's like, if I get 20 people asking me how they can pile in, then I get a bit concerned that we're at the end of a cycle rather than at the beginning. So it's fairly quiet on that front. But of course, this has created a lot of interest, could say hype, but definitely interest for this sort of coin. But even if it does correct, I still think that this isn't something that's going to go away. Now, I'm old school, so having a metaverse as opposed to living in the real world doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I kind of rationalize it by, can you communicate with people? And in some ways, can you meet girls? And that, if you can, then it must be worth investing in. I know that might sound very simplistic, but essentially this is what all communication apps are about, and it's what Twitter's about, what Facebook was about, and this is just going to be another way of doing it. So, although I might not be there, it's the new generation, and what they find is normal. So that's just like my fundamental take. I know it's not really probably what you wanted. Maybe you just want the technical view, but I think this is an interesting story that has much more to run. Now, I think the way I would look at this is, perhaps from an Elliott wave point of view, and because there's not much to say about the price action here. This is wave 1, this is wave 2, this is turning into like what could be a wave 3. Now there ends up being 5 waves in the pattern before you see a big correction. So 1, 2, 3, then a pullback 4 should hold over this level here, 0.055. Shouldn't break it. So we know if it starts to come down, it mustn't go lower than 0.55. That's kind of a good stop area. Percentage terms, that's pretty big. So you'd have to, you'd really have to be trading it with real money to hold on to it for that long. But then you'd get another move, a big move up in the final wave, and then a bigger correction. So I still think that looks okay. I think this is, in the short term, still part of this, what could be a wave 3. So even though it's turned down a little bit, it's not showing a specific reversal pattern. It's just showing a bit of profit taking. So maybe it'll consolidate a bit and then move again. But broadly speaking, I think, you can see 8 or 9 by next year.
Yeah, agreed. My hope is you see a pullback on some of these. That kind of surprised me. Now, some Metaverse tokens I already held, and some I didn't. Of course, he made that announcement. Everything with the Metaverse pumped tremendously, and sometimes those immediate pumps then lead to bigger pullbacks as there's some profit taking. People see the prices dropping, they get scared, they're like, I better take my profits. Pulls it down even more, and that's what I look for to load up. Is he kind of created a cycle, kind of like billionaires are doing that these days. Elon Musk created a Dogecoin cycle. It's amazing what these billionaires can create just by one video. Yeah. And take something that's and give it a cycle all of a sudden, and that isn't predictable. But it's easy to predict that these should do well during the general bull run. And so personally, at this price, I'm like, pass for me until it gets more attractive. That's why I try to buy when it's boring and load up on good projects when they're boring, because you never know when all of a sudden they might hit and catch you off guard. And so this ran up along with a lot of other Metaverse tokens. Yeah. Now, do you mind if we take a look at DOWS? Now, DOWS is one of those
I just want to, let me just add something to this. I said by next year, I meant next year. So not before the end of the year do I think it will hit 8 or 9, because that's a little too aggressive. But I think next year it has the potential to hit 8 or 9. So it gives it, a good 13-month window. So DOWS, is it DOWS?
Yeah, and then you see shadows.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, this is lovely technical setup, really nice. So we had this cup and handle pattern, which I think we talked about again as it was approaching it. Although I don't remember speaking about it last week, but this is the pattern that we were looking for. Maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. So this is resistance. It's come back. It's made a very nice curved base. Some people call that a cup and handle. I just think this is part of a wave structure. The trend is nice and smooth. If we draw in
we should be able to see a lot more history on this. Can we check another pairing? Maybe shadows. There should be a pairing because it goes way back beyond this.
If I go DOWS, is it this one? Oh, maybe it's this one. DOWS US dollar. This one? Oh no, that's even less.
Let's just try a few, because this one's been tradable since March. Sometimes.
Oh, shadows. This one. Maybe it's this one.
Let's try this one and see there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, fantastic.
Okay. That's
that gives us a way better feeling of what it's done.
Definitely. Yeah. No. You're good call to get the price history, because again, this is one that has been moving up. I think the trend rate here needs to accelerate a bit, because if we look at how the trend's gone down and it's gone sideways. Now, if we look at the mirror image of one side against the other, this has fallen when it was aggressively down. It's fallen a lot faster than it's rising. So we want to see an extended trend rate. So we want to see the trend pick up to the upside for this to look good. Now, its biases to the upside because it's trending up, but it just needs to improve its work rate, if you get what I mean, because it's correcting a prior trend rather than breaking into a new high. If this was breaking into a new high, I wouldn't mind it so much, because it means that there's like fresh money coming into it, and it's probably a new technology. But something that has fallen a long way means that there's probably a lot of investors who are holding it who may want to sell it into the rally. So that's why I want to see it move a bit faster, to say that they're actually not doing that, and it's being countered by good buying and new buying because they like the project. Now, overall, this is still a good base. So from all this price action here has made what I would consider to be a double bottom. It's called a double bottom because you've got one low, it's gone up, and it's made another low. So it makes like a W shape. Now we have a little bit of symmetry on this side. So the way it's consolidated here, we can say it will do the same here. So that gives us a time frame towards the end of the year before it then should break 0.55, which I think is what it will do. So where does it accelerate? Through 0.55. So that's the point for me where things start to pick up and get really interesting. But the overall trend is good. It's upwards, and it's just a question of when will it accelerate and when will it break out.
Yeah, I'm liking it. This one that we've been following for a while on the downtrend, and so it bottomed out clearly at just under 10 cents, and it's on its way up. This is a derivatives program on the Polkadot ecosystem, or synthetics. So think of SNX and where the price of SNX went from its bottoms. Well, this is synthetics on Polkadot's ecosystem, which is going to be in the spotlight. We're short on time. Let me take a look at. Let's take a look at GEROWallet. Now, GERO, GERO. Let's see if we can get some chart on this.
How's that?
That's decent. Yeah, it's a relatively new project, and it absolutely moonshot and went crazy after launching on CardStarter. It was one of the first CardStarter's launchpad projects that launched.
Is this one that you like, or is this one that the community's asked for?
Community suggested this one. I haven't looked at its price in quite a while. So when it first came out, launched in April, it peaked at $80. Now, I don't know if that's the right chart.
Okay, let's have a look. GERO, you said, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, hang on. GERO. It's a GRA, yeah?
Let me just double check it. I'm looking at...
I put GERO, I think.
Maybe I think you might have had it right, and I had it wrong. Okay, we're good. I was looking at the wrong one.
See, I like the look of this one.
Yeah, exactly.
That looks pretty good. Okay, let's go back to the one you wanted. So
GERO,
GERO, yeah. GeroWallet, yeah.
So GERO launched, it went almost to $1, and then it's retraced, formed this nice bigger W pattern. Let's see how much of the W pattern we can see here. So we don't show the prior where it was at $1, and then it declined all the way to this bottom at 9 cents. It then came up, and you might not be able to find it. Okay, that's as good as we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. That actually looks better. That looks better than the other chart did, because
that's a beautiful double bottom slash what I call them as W's.
Yeah, because it looks like it's starting a new phase here. Again, around here, it's not what I would be jumping into, because the trend is down. So this trend is down, and the market's not showing me enough to get me excited or wanting to buy it. But it's starting to. So it's moving. This is now a new little trend. So it's like the beginning of something. And we've got a short-term low, which is enough. If you wanted to take what I would call a punt, a little nibble, you could buy at these levels and then use the trend line as a bit of discipline to say, well, if it breaks that, then I'm going to exit. And I would be happy to do that a few times, maybe get in and out and exit until the trend starts to accelerate. Now, we could just wait for it to take out the major resistance, which is what you'd be hoping it would take out anyway at 0.19, because if it does that, then we're going all the way back up to 0.55. So for me, this is looking good. It's stopped its dive. It's now flattening out, which possibly we might see a bit more flattening out before it accelerates. But if it can hold these new lows, and this is the start of something good, then we can use this trend line as a guide to how it should accelerate up. So what I'm trying to do is be a little bit cautious, because it is such a small upward move in what has been a very bearish market. And so the longer it's been bearish, the more cautious I am about signs that have showed that it's reversed. But the whole area is a hot area, and I'd also wouldn't want to miss out on something that's taking off. So I think looking at resistance point at 0.15, but definitely at 0.19. If it's got through there, then it's going to look really good. So as a kind of stop loss, or where one would look to parachute out, break of this trend line, if it breaks this low, I can't be like J Rain. I would personally be getting out because I don't know whether it's good or not, but he would know. So you'd have to ask him. But if it breaks that, then I think I would look at something else, bail out and find something that's moving. But if the technology is good and he likes it, then it might be something worth holding.
So I like that it's on the Cardano ecosystem. The Cardano has a lot of us. It's got a very strong community, and so we'll see if it holds this. And if so, that's a beautiful W pattern. I usually put funds in at this point. The way I trade this kind of thing is like, okay, 11 cents would be better, but 13.5 cents, that's good for me. And I just buy what I'm low. I'm okay with taking earlier bets than what Paul takes. And that then I sit some on the side in case it goes lower, because I think most of the crypto market is going to have massive money coming in once Bitcoin hits certain metrics. They'll be like, oh my gosh, Bitcoin, and then they'll diversify into other things throughout the crypto ecosystem. So just about all the boats will rise during this rising tide.
Yeah.
And so I like to take these kind of bets. Does it mean it can't go wrong from here? It absolutely can. But the percentages, at least by the way I'm calculating it, are lower. And so these are the kind of bets I take. And I like that price a lot.
Can I just show you something very quickly?
Sure.
I think Ethereum last week, I think we were looking at this smooth trend, and I can't remember whether we had time right at the beginning of the show to look at the kind of broader picture. I think I did very quickly, but I'm not sure. But I just wanted to say that this is looking like a big triangular constriction, which is why we've pushed into a new high. It's also why this should actually go further, because there is no sign of a reversal. This is smooth. So the fact that people are saying, "Oh, it's too high," and you got to wait, that doesn't say to me that this is at the end of something. I think this could really accelerate. So, there's some interesting things going on in the majors, which again, as we've said before, will trickle down into the other technologies. Perhaps this is leading the way, and the others will catch up a bit later as they kind of reverse out of them.
Raul Paul just said that he thinks that Ethereum maybe will flip Bitcoin this cycle at some point. Okay. And so that would be big news. That means probably Ethereum would have to go to $30,000. And so that'd be about a 6x from here. We'll see. That's just his guess. He doesn't have a magic crystal ball like anyone else. We don't, but it is interesting the trading here, because a lot of people are sending their ETH over to ETH 2.0, and so they can't sell it now even if they want to. They are getting staking rewards there, and so that's why they're willing to do that.
What do you think of that yourself? Do you think that's a good idea, or would you wait?
No, I'm not. I just want to, because what if it hits $40,000 and ETH 2.0 isn't ready yet? Then you don't have it to possibly sell. So,
okay.
I personally, I wouldn't be doing that, even with the staking rewards. I just don't like the indefinite lockup period, because guess what? When you finally get yours unlocked, everyone else's is unlocked too.
Yeah.
So I don't like that risk.
Right. Interesting.
Let's see. That's all the time we have
for
this cycle. So if you're ready to level up your crypto game, thank you, Paul, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your comments, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Now, if you would help us out and like this video, we really appreciate it. If this is the kind of content you're looking for, subscribe. And especially if you're loving the content, tell us what you're liking most. And if you don't give this at least a 7 out of 10, tell us why. All right. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time and helping you level up your crypto game. Hopefully, if you commit to the full 5-year cycle, 5 years from now, that this time next cycle you're even ahead of where I'm at now, because I made some big mistakes, and part of my goal with this channel was help other people not make those when I was brand new to crypto, and there definitely wasn't somebody giving me solid advice on how to think about things and take effective profits. Thank you for joining us, and I'm going to send you to our wrap.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you're good. Was taught to buy when it was boring like a Rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I sit the one out cause I'm patient like that, and I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. The time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge to gain show. Sticking at this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. I'm sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. In 2 years time the bull will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go with the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.